All right.
Hello?
Well, I guess with no one in charge, then no one speaks first, right?
Oh, I thought you'd be in charge. Thanks for having us, Adam.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Adam, So Is Her Podcast. I'm here with James and Andrew, who are both huge movie nuts, just like I am. And James had the idea to do various top 5 lists, apparently with stringent rules. So,
No, this was. Do you want to say what the list is today, or?
yeah, you came up with this one. We're doing top 5 winter movies, but the kind of caveat to it is winter has to be part of the plot, really. Like, it has to have a substantial impact on the movie.
Yeah, and majority seasonal, because there's the two that I really wanted to pick. I think we all wanted to pick at least one of them was The Shining, and McCabe and Mrs. Miller, and both those movies have like iconic winter sequences, but they're both just the climax. And so I was like, just to make it easier or harder for us, I guess, but more exciting for the viewer, I removed those, which is horrible. I wish I hadn't done it because I immediately disqualified all of my favorite movies.
Well, the only good part about, well, not the only, but a good part about that is that we would all have The Shining.
Yeah.
Now we kind of took that one out of the run. It's like when you talk about, like when you look at a best movie ever list, like IMDb or AFI or whatever, just retire Citizen Kane, put it on its own list so we can talk about other movies.
What are the three? Citizen Kane, Vertigo, and I guess The Godfather? Those are the three if you take
I think they're always on, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love all three of those movies. What are you going to do?
No, they're great movies. There's a reason why people like them. I'm not saying bury it and, kill it, but...
No, destroy them all. Burn them out, the negatives.
As far as The Shining goes, though, my argument would be that winter is the whole reason why they're there and why they're stuck.
I know. It is a stupid argument. No, it's just because it is true. I mean, I just think of... It's that it becomes... I'm trying to think of... Because The Shining, to me, is the funniest thing about it is the dates. Like, at one point, it's just like Monday, Tuesday or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay. But at a certain point, it's like skipping seasons at the beginning, and then when it becomes like winter, you're like, oh no, they're trapped. And then there's, of course, my favorite subplot of all time, which I've talked about way too many times. I think even talked about last time I talked to you, Adam, but it's like Scatman Crothers subplot of that movie.
Yeah.
Is by far the like greatest, and my single argument for why that movie is a comedy is just because of that. Like, oh god, it's the most sympathetic character.
I mean, in my opinion, one of the greatest zooms anyone's ever done. It's the reveal of his artwork on the wall.
Yeah. There's like a sexy babe on his bedroom.
Like sexy babes on the wall. You see his feet in the TV, and then out we come, and he's like also sexy ladies.
Have either of you seen Killing of a Chinese Bookie? That movie?
No.
There's a woman in that movie I was watching recently, and I was like, she's so familiar. How do I know her? And I looked her up, and she was the woman in the picture of that shot.
Wow, that is a insane pull.
I know.
I feel like I'm going to be badly outclassed in this list making.
Deep cut.
All right, yeah. You want to do the thing of we all do 5, then we all do 4, then we all do 3?
Yeah, I think that's the most fun way to do it and gets the most conversation going.
Okay, let's hope we didn't overlap. Full disclosure: Andrew and I maybe have cheated and shared partial bits of our lists for reasons of for bringing diversity in terms of selection to the conversation.
Yeah, I tried to do some of not the most obvious, but of course I do have one that we probably all have or at least would have considered. So, but we'll get there.
I do want to be clear that I didn't make any compromises on my list just because I didn't want to.
I did. There's one I did not include because out of loyalty to you, Andrew.
But there was also one that I like, that I'm sure at least one of you chose that I didn't, just because it's so obviously great that I'm happy that we're going to get to probably talk about it anyway.
I probably chose it then. I didn't go as deep as I would have liked to give myself credit for.
I learned, making all these lists with James over the pandemic is like, I realized when I'm making a list, it's not necessarily even what is like the best one. It's just the one that I like the most.
Well, I think that has a big part in it, because if it's like everyone considers this a good movie, but I was bored to tears, why would you put it on your top 5 list?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or there's like, who wants to go first?
You want to kick it off? It's your list.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to intro this movie with a famous quote that plays many times and describes the winter season, which is, okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties because it's cold out there. It's Groundhog Day. This is my number 5.
Nice, okay.
That was, and I was very excited because it did not seem like an obvious winter movie. But winter's the whole reason they're trapped there. And it's every day is winter, and he's so mad how cold it is. And you don't ever get to see him in the summer. The whole movie, I'm just like waiting for 1 second of just like sweet relief of him and Andy McDowell, who I will say that is when I saw. Did you guys see Palm Springs? Andy
Samberg?
Yeah. It fixed the one thing about Groundhog Day that's like sociopathic, where you're like, oh God, like just like it would be so nice if he just like had her in his Groundhog Day with him, and it would not be this like weird psychotic date fixation thing.
Right. It's like it would be nice if Bill Murray had like a date that he with him.
It's funny you say that, and psychotic, and that it was a date. Did you watch any of Jordan Peele's new Twilight Zone?
I've seen like bits and pieces. I have not watched the beginning to end yet, but I love that. I love it.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't spoil it then.
It all. Is there a Groundhog Day one in it?
There's a Groundhog Day one about a guy trying to make the perfect date, and he is psychotic.
Oh, it's the scare. It is. There's a great moment in Groundhog Day when he has like the perfect day for her, and he's like, "I have your chocolates right here," and then the music kind of starts to turn a bit, and you see her being like, "What's going on? This is weird. Something about this is strange."
Yeah, that's the Twilight Zone episode. And he's basically like, "I put so much work into this. I've done this so many times. You owe me this." And she's like, "I don't know you, man. Like, what are you doing?"
That's terrifying to me. I will say the last one thing I'll say about Groundhog Day and why I'm obsessed with it, and everyone is. But it's, first of all, if I could have a Groundhog Day of watching Groundhog Day, it'd be the best day of my life. Second thing is underrated, and it may be Harold Ramis or it's maybe Bill Murray. It's probably a combination of both. But like how hard that movie, you'd have to be like the greatest actor. Because when you think of like shoot days, they're shooting every Ned Ryerson scene back to back for like 2 days or whatever. And then they're shooting every hotel scene because they're getting the locations. Just Bill Murray had to do like the full arc every day. He shot that movie. I'm always obsessed with that.
That's a really good point. Yeah, it was probably exhausting, and he probably got so tired of saying the same line at a point.
I think he famously hated working on that movie. They're like good friends.
Yeah, you're gonna wake up today like 100 times.
Yeah,
that's your day.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That movie really holds up too. I don't know when the last time you watched it is, but it really does age well.
Been a while. I intentionally was like, I don't want to watch this right now.
I will say, it's a bit like life. I will say that like Groundhog Day, the farther you get from it, the less you like it. And then whenever you rewatch it, you're like, this is the best movie of all time. Like I think of it like, oh, this is a good movie. And then when I look at my like Letterboxd or whatever, whenever I ranked it anytime, it's always like 5 stars. And I know that whenever I finish that movie, I'm like, oh, God broke the mold and made the perfect movie. And I immediately forget it exists.
One thing I get to have fun with is my wife, and we've been together like 7 years now, but she has seen no movies. Like when we first started dating, she saw Titanic and anything by Quentin Tarantino, and that was the end of the list. So I get to rewatch all these movies that I just kind of take for granted with fresh eyes because it's the first time she's seeing it. So just this past winter, we rewatched I rewatched it. She watched it for the first time.
What was her take?
She loved it. Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, it's Bill Murray. How do you not?
It's really for everybody. It's so...
Yeah.
You get all the Bill Murrays. You get the like sad, like depressed Bill Murray. You get the like Lothario Bill Murray. You get the like asshole Bill Murray. And then you get the like joyous, spreading joy to the world Bill Murray. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Andrew, number 5. I wonder if anyone else has it.
Yeah,
I don't.
I can go. I have a movie that I watched during the last year. It's not... I don't know that it's good, but I loved the experience of watching it, and that's a movie called Dreamcatcher. It's kind of a mess. Like, it's all over the map, but it's really enjoyable. It's just these guys go to their winter cabin, and sort of an alien invasion happens. Is basically
That's what Dreamcatcher's about?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I for sure did in a million years. I would have never guessed it was an alien invasion.
It's early 2000s Lawrence Kasdan, so long ways from The Big Chill. But
that's funny because Dreamcatcher is my number 3.
Amazing.
I love Stephen King.
Stephen King, no matter kind of what's going on, those stories are compelling and you're interested. And Dreamcatcher, I mean, to describe it is sort of insane. There's this group of friends who have sort of what you would call a touched friend who they sort of lost contact with. Duddits, who they just keep talking about. And he's kind of, I don't know how much we want to give away about Dreamcatcher, but...
Well, it's from like 2003. I think if you haven't seen it by now.
It's like, I mean, he's just maybe literally from another planet. This friend of theirs who's been with them their entire life, as sort of a rogue agent of, he can basically see the future, and he's there waiting, playing the long game to eventually help his friends out. They're full-grown men.
Yeah,
full-grown men.
It's a great cast, though.
Yeah,
they're like the friends. You really buy their friendship, and it's got Thomas Jane, Damian Lewis.
Jason Lee's in that movie, right?
Yeah, Jason Lee. Yeah,
Lee.
I think about him all the time. Like, what happened to Jason Lee?
Timothy Oliphant.
Morgan Freeman's like an unhinged.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's an unhinged general who's like wants to retire, kind of, but he's still a fucking monster. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Morgan Freeman makes a good bad guy.
He does.
What's the Boston movie with Casey Affleck? Oh, Gone Baby Gone, where he like twist. Oh, well, spoiler alert for the twist of Gone Baby Gone.
Mm-hmm.
It was Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that's a good movie too.
Yeah. Dreamcatcher. I thought I would be the only Dreamcatcher list man for sure.
Dreamcatcher was almost number 2, but I put it to number 3. I like it.
Love to hear that. What a great.
You don't always get good Stephen King adaptations. You got to take them when you get them.
That's like, for me, that's like a Letterboxd movie that I give to 3 stars, but I write a huge paragraph and I like it and I like tell everyone to watch it. That's for
3
me.
3 stars and a heart.
Which is like one of the best things I could say about a movie for me.
Yeah.
It's
all right.
So weird.
I mean, we're going to talk about it again.
Yeah, we are. We just covered most of it, so that'll go quick. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My number 5 is Winter's Bone.
Oh, that was like my number 7 or something. I love that movie.
Yeah, really good. And it gave us Jennifer Lawrence, who is phenomenal.
John
Hawkes. Kind of dark and depressing, but still a good movie.
Yeah. A lot of practical, like Ozark survival stuff in that movie that I like at the time. Like watching her skin a squirrel. I vividly remember that being like, damn. Great.
Yeah. At the time, it was like, why did she learn all this for this movie? Because they didn't have to show her skinning the squirrel, and then she got Hunger Games, and it's like, all right, that's going to be her thing.
She's ready to go.
There was something I feel like about that time when that movie came out, which I don't know when it was, 2010 or something, 2009.
I think it was 10, yeah.
And it's like, I feel like there was a weird sort of fascination with like hill people that we had.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
For lack of a better term, but it's like I feel like there was some sort of like we were all very interested in that kind of hardship. I guess it probably has something to do with post 2008.
Yeah, it was like everyone was like, "This opioid crisis going on." Everyone heard about
this post collapse of like industry and money.
No, it's
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm talking about your movie. I don't. Please, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, touch on Andrew's thing where he says about like post collapse. Like the movie's literally about her family possibly getting evicted because of her deadbeat dad. So it's right there.
Also, great like mystery procedural. That's like one of those great movies where you're like, damn, like just like going from person to person who's like, I don't know. Last I saw him was at the hog factory. I don't know. I just made up a thing. I don't know.
There was probably a hog factory in the Ozarks.
Oh man, I love Winter's Bone. I'm so glad someone brought it up.
One of the first movies I ever bought from a counterfeit Chinese DVD store.
Oh, nice.
Fun fact.
Nice. Well, that's not good for the filmmakers behind Winter's Bone, but
no. What are you gonna do? You know, I was a student. I had no money.
Yeah,
it was hard to find. I remember reading about it for months before I actually got to see it because we don't, where I live. I'm in the suburbs. We don't get any kind of smaller movies.
Or we got it at a place in Montreal called the Dollar Cinema, which sounds great, and it is, but there is one room that's like, this is the special room, and he really brands it as the special room, but it's like just a huge TV in a small, like, dark room, and you could hear the movies that are playing on opposite ends of the wall very clearly in the big theaters. Yeah. And so both Winter's Bone and We Need to Talk About Kevin, I remember just the most like I think it was like Burlesque or something, like the Cher Christina Aguilera movie was like blasting almost louder than Winter's Bone.
Really taking you out of the mood.
That reminds me of when I saw, was it War of the Planet of the Apes at a small theater here in Toronto, and it was at the same time as Dunkirk was out, and it was the same thing. I was in the small corner room in the basement, and the main room of Dunkirk, because those monkeys when they're talking to each other are very quiet. They're more like sign languaging to each other, and Dunkirk is just blasting, and I can't. It's like I don't even hear this movie that I'm watching.
Was it with you, Andrew? I think there's one Planet of the Apes movie we watched. Maybe it was Rise.
It was this. Yeah.
There's one of the Planet of the Apes movies that like the apes have full sprawling conversations, but we had downloaded it or something, and we just didn't get the subtitles, and we assumed that it was like, oh, we're supposed to like interpret what they're saying. We watched the whole movie and like really got a lot from it, and then found out later like, oh, we missed the whole plot.
This movie has dialogue.
The whole subtitle section's missed.
But like, credit to the movie, we didn't miss much. I like read the plot afterwards. And I was like, oh, I got all that from them being like, home or whatever.
Not to go too deep into memory banks, but I do remember that a friend of yours was there getting a haircut while we were watching it.
Yeah, that's a fun fact. Everyone can.
We weren't recording when you talked about haircuts before, so no one knows what you're referencing.
All right, number 4. You all ready for this?
Yep, go ahead.
This one has like Winter's Bone, has a very cold title. Ang Lee's The Ice Storm. Anyone see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have not.
It is like the cast is like the it's a weird way to say it, but like the Expendables of 90s teen actors. It's like amazing. It's like a 70s movie, family drama. It takes place over like Thanksgiving weekend during the titular ice storm of in like it's like in Connecticut or something. 70s cast. I'm trying to look at it. I could just say it off the top of my head, but I don't want to leave anyone out.
I think it's 96.
We get Tobey Maguire, Elijah Wood, Christina Ricci, and my favorite of all time character actor is David Krumholtz.
I don't know how I missed that one.
Well, I'm going to decline this. I don't know what that was about, you guys. It was a bit embarrassing. No, Winter's Bone. Ice Storm is great. You should watch it. It's also like the greatest. Like if you look at, I'm still obsessed with this to this day, and he continues to wow me with how weird the filmography of Ang Lee. Where it's like, who is this guy and what is he interested in? Because it's like he's doing all these movies, and then he comes to America and he does Sense and Sensibility, The Ice Storm, Ride with the Devil, which is pretty good, like Western. I don't know if you ever saw it. Then Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and then Hulk right after that. Then Brokeback Mountain, then Lust Caution, which is the sexiest movie you'll ever see. And then Taking Woodstock, and then Life of Pi. It just like never ends. And he made Gemini Man like 2 years ago.
Yeah, where does
weirdest movie ever?
He's all over the place.
But sometimes he does like Ice Storm. I think is a really good movie. You would not think it was like a really good I don't know, family. And there's a great like the 70s swinger thing. Bob and Carol and Ted Nallis is a movie that kind of does that, where it kind of makes fun of. There's like the big climax is like Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver at like a key party, and Joan Allen, and they're like swinging. And it's just the thing of like in the 70s, just like the black heart of all these people trying to experiment or whatever. It's a good movie. I also love any movie that has like a dinner scene where people like yell at each other. I feel like that movie's like an extended version of that.
All right.
The Ice Storm. Ice Storm keeps them all in the house too. That's why it's very crucial to watch the winter elements.
I'm going to watch that one.
Okay, Andrew, you're up.
Oh, it's me. We're number 4, right?
Yep.
A movie I'm sure you've all seen, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
I am very happy that you...
Which one?
The David Fincher one. I actually haven't seen the other one.
Oh, okay.
The not David Fincher one?
Yeah, that's the one that I've seen. I mean, I guess it seems like if you're going to set your movie in Sweden, it's probably going to be wintertime.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a very cold movie in a very cold world, but weirdly enough, I find it to be a very like comfortable movie for me. Whenever I'm in doubt of something to watch, for some reason that movie like I find very warm and comfortable, even though it's very kind of twisted and dark.
Yeah, not the way I described that movie, but okay.
No. I'm wrong to describe it that way.
No, but I know what you're saying. It's like the thing of like people describe like watching makeup tutorials or YouTube videos that like makes your brain feel nice because people are just giving you information. And a lot of those David Fincher movies have the like research element that's like so cinematic where they're just like flicking through photos and zooming in on things. And this movie,
especially when they're anytime they're intercutting, somebody looking up information and another person doing something else, putting the ticking clock in the middle of that, you're just like, I'll watch that all day.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. I watch a million movies like that.
Yeah,
it's like so thrilling. Yeah, also, I will go out on a limb and say the worst glasses acting, as someone who wears glasses, worst glasses acting of all time is Daniel Craig in that movie. It's amazing. I love it.
It's very funny. I find it really funny when he tries to when he first shows up at the house on the estate where he's kind of trying to research the family, he's trying to. I feel like he's trying to light a fire in the wood stove to warm the house up, and he's just not very good at it.
Yeah,
he just doesn't
he's
really.
a writer.
He's a writer journalist from the city. He doesn't really know what he's gotten himself into.
Too much business with the glasses. I'm not going to let this go. He just does a lot of this. Like, he does a lot of this, like he'll be like, he does hanging off his ear thing a bunch that I've never seen anyone wear glasses like that.
I do wonder if there was like a props guy who had to put something sticky on there so it wouldn't,
But it is cool. It's like, how do you make James Bond into a writer? You have him just like touch his glasses a lot.
That's some glasses.
Amazing.
And then of course the whole, like, I guess, B plot, A plot, whatever you want to call it, of Rudy Mara's journey.
Oh my God.
Where the movie really kind of goes deep into some dark stuff.
Yeah.
That was a great movie theater movie. I think about this all the time. Like the scene, which when you watch it alone just feels like a really dark scene, but the thing of like when she like tasers the guy who's been like raping her the whole time, it's horrible. Like just the worst villain. You just hate him so much.
Yeah.
And when he dropped, it was like a full theater opening weekend. Kelly and I were watching it. It was just like everyone was like, yeah, like just the loudest scream of excitement. Amazing.
Yeah. I imagine not long after that it gets a little quieter again. But anyway,
I think Kelly, I was talking with Kelly about this earlier. I think there's a memory of like at the beginning of the movie is a great setup where like he shows up and Christopher Plummer's like, here's what the mystery is, and he explains the flowers he's been getting every year or whatever. Yeah. And then the like title sequence starts, and I like turned to Kelly and I was like, what a delicious mystery.
There's something I just love. I mean, I just, like everyone else, I'm a huge fan of David Fincher in general, but something about that movie, I don't know why it just works.
Yeah, it's a really easy to watch movie. I love that movie.
It's that trilogy of movies of his that are like I could watch. It's probably 4 movies really, but it's Zodiac, it's Social Network, which is like a masterpiece, Dragon Tattoo, and Gone Girl are like maybe 4 of the most watchable movies anyone's ever made. It's insane.
Yeah, all movies. Like I watched Gone Girl. I've seen Gone Girl way too many times, and it was on TV the other day, and I just was like, oh. And I watched like almost an hour of it before I was like, well, too many times. I can't keep doing this shit.
Yeah, there's something about the way you process information in his movies that is just like endlessly digestible.
Yeah, no, I love it, and it makes you feel like you're uncovering the mystery when you watch it. You're like, oh,
yeah,
yes, he was at the same parade, or whatever.
Yeah,
that was a really cool grouping because I like those movies, and I never would have said like, oh, this is what's similar about Zodiac, Gone Girl, it's Social Network, and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake. Like I never would have put them all in the same basket.
I don't know what to call them, but to me that's a Fincher basket of some kind.
The Fincher basket.
The Fincher basket of 4.
No, yeah, I love those movies. I could talk with them for hours, but we have to change because we will talk with this forever. I love that movie so much.
The Fincher basket, let's all solve a mystery. I think.
Also, you know what's common is he has, I'm trying to think, all of them kind of have like, not like dumb, but like kind of like wide-eyed male leads who are like, but like kind of like handsome guy. Like Ben, the way he uses Ben Affleck in Gone Girl is like perfect. Where you're just like, oh, come on, man. Where he's like, I don't know, and it's just like you don't know who you're really rooting for. And same with Daniel Craig. It's like I love him in that movie, but he seems like the least smart person in the whole plot.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We're gonna have to do a list of like movies that people love, but we have serious issues with because I do want to talk about Gone Girl, but it's not the time or place.
Oh, here it comes, right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your patience and just letting us go there.
Yeah.
Thank the leniencies.
I will say the first maybe half I loved, and then I have issues, but we'll get there.
You don't like the twist is when you we'll talk about it another time.
Yeah, it'll have to be another list.
Weird separation of that movie. That's why it's like I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you probably do, and I don't. Yeah, we'll do
it. You'll be teamed up, I'm sure, against you by Andrew. I don't know. Andrew might be the neutral party, but I am.
I have a few that you guys will probably be like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" and you'll pile on, but that's all right.
I love this list. There's a few. I'll say one just as a teaser. Jacob's Ladder. Everyone loves that movie. It's like one of the only movies I hate. I don't know why. Well, I know
I've seen it, but I have very little memory of it.
It makes me a huge grump, and I don't hate a lot of movies, but for some reason, Jacob's Ladder is one of them, and I can talk about it forever. So we'll.
Yeah.
All right. That'll have to be a list for sure.
We'll table that too, because I have recent feelings about Jacob's Ladder. Yeah, we could go, but we'll come back to it.
Table Jacob's Ladder. We'll table Gone Girl. Number 4, Adam.
My number 4 is kind of how Andrew was describing Dreamcatcher, where it's not the best movie, but you get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And this one got bumped up onto my list above an honorable mention because of how well they use winter. It's 30 Days of Night.
Oh, I love that movie. You ever seen that movie, Andrew?
No, I've never seen that.
Great movie.
The spot in Alaska or a town in Alaska where they have, obviously, 30 Days of Night. And that's where vampires decide to hang out because they get a full month to do whatever they want to do and feed and be the apex predator with no weaknesses.
It's a great premise.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. In case you're wondering, I was writing it down.
Cool.
Did you ever see Hard Candy, Andrew?
Yeah.
It's the same director, David Slade.
Okay.
Right? That's the guy's name? He's someone who I look for all the time because I love 30 Days of Night so much. And then he kind of fell off. And I think he directed one of the Twilight movies even.
Wow.
Like, it's so crazy. Like the highest and the lowest of vampires.
Yeah, really? He wanted that house in Malibu, so.
But he does have that like blue. He like makes the movies the blue look. That Catherine Hardwicke also does, who also directed the. But no, I love
that fits for vampires and for winter, so I can see that.
Yeah.
And I think Ben Foster, anything he's in, I'll watch because that guy's amazing.
Yeah. People don't talk about him enough.
No, not enough at all.
I also Josh Hartnett, right?
Josh Hartnett's the lead. Ben Foster's kind of like the wanderer who comes into town and kind of lets them know, and they think he's just a nut.
Damn. Yeah, Ben Foster. What's the really? There's so many. He's like one of the greatest actors because there's a few actors that I describe as great because you forget they're in a movie, and I know it's like a weird thing, but it's just like they're so like
they disappear into the role. Yeah.
But yeah, he's always the best. Oh,
he always goes for it.
What's the movie he was really like? He had a pretty high profile role in them. Like oh my god. Oh, sorry, this is the most boring. Jeff Bridges. It came out. You know what I'm talking about? Jeff Bridges, like the sheriff. And
Hell or High Water?
Yes.
Chris Pine. Was it Chris Pine?
Chris Pine and Ben Foster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah,
that's another one that didn't get nearly enough attention the year it came out.
The classic, people always talk about Jeff Bridges' later career. It's like he's chewing mashed potatoes and peas or whatever while he's acting. It's the greatest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. All right, you want to jump on number 3?
Number 3, top 3, baby. This is a Canadian horror movie that I love so much, and that is David Cronenberg's The Brood.
Sorry, have not seen it.
I like it. Okay, it's like I could have put like a lot of David Cronenberg movies in here, like Rabid and Dead Zone are both great winter movies, but I just like The Brood because the villain is yourself, whatever. Like a lot of David Cronenberg movies, but the like physical villain that exists are these little like snowsuit babies who are like children in snowsuits who are like attacking people, and it's just like a very funny Canadian thing where you're just like, oh my god, look at these kids in their jumpers. But it's like it's very scary, and it's one of the last ones. I think Scanner's after this, and then it's like Videodrome, and he's off. But the like last of his like early grindhouse movies, and also his first 3 movies all have the same basic premise, which is like some doctor does some dumb experiment on some woman, and as a result, like we all pay, like she just becomes too powerful and destroys the world or whatever. And I also found out in researching this list, I should have known this because The Brood's like one of my favorite movies, but people don't talk about it enough in criticism, that it's like about he talks about it all the time, but that's about his divorce. And it's just so funny if you watch that movie. It's like the most gory, disgusting movie, and it really doesn't blame the woman. It blames the like therapist who's involved in this like divorce situation. It's like they're fighting for custody of their kid, kind of. But his quote was that The Brood is my version of Kramer versus Kramer, but more realistic. That's like a funny David Cronenberg kind of like joke. Great. Killer Kids in Snowsuits. The Brood. I love that movie. I know it's not the best David Cronenberg movie, and it's definitely not as good as the last 2 movies I talked about on this list, but it's like my favorite David Cronenberg movie in a lot of ways. Yeah. Nice. Filmed in Toronto, Canada, where Andrew Hovi currently is.
Where I live. And it's not too bad.
Ringing endorsement.
Yes, it's a fine place.
And those Canadian shit you'll ever hear is someone be like, that's a fine place here.
Fine place. Fine place. Some good things, some bad things. What are you gonna do?
Right,
me, number 3.
Yep.
My number 3, it is a Coen Brothers movie, but not the other one. It's Inside Llewyn Davis.
Woo! Do you want to say anything about it before I talk over you?
One of my favorite things about that movie, besides just how sad he is, and kind of stubbornly ignorant to why he's sad, is just how cold he is the whole time. There's this running sort of half joke about just like, that's your jacket, get yourself a better jacket.
I know. It's also the perfect, in the film Death Trip, which you can check out at deathtripmovie.com, a huge choice that Kelly and I made was that Garrett would wear a jean jacket because he's like, nah, I don't need a winter coat. I got a jean jacket. Like, it's just the dumbest, like full winter outfit.
So stupidly stubborn, And it's like, as a Canadian who gets cold a lot, for half the year, it's like, you would just wear warm clothes.
Yeah.
I get that he's like, he can't afford a coat or whatever, but his manager offers him a coat.
Yeah, he doesn't take it.
People are offering him coats, but he's like, no, I got to do
the least likable protagonist in a Coen Brothers movie. I think like Barton Fink's like a close runner-up, but
yeah, he probably is.
Just like so pretentious, like he hates everyone.
Yeah, refuses help, can't accept kindness, loses a cat.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Adam, there's a thing that Andrew and I have actually talked about with this movie a lot, which is there's like famous screenwriting book, which is like Save the Cat or Don't Kill the Cat or something like that. Andrew, what is it?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, we're selling this book real well. I think it's Save the Cat. I'm pretty sure it's like a concept in screenwriting that if you have a character who like does the equivalent of saving a cat from like a burning building or whatever, then like that's a shortcut to letting people empathize and appreciate your character, I guess. Is that right?
It is called Save the Cat. I just looked it up.
Yeah, and then I think like maybe like an hour into the movie, he sees the cat walk away and just like shrugs and doesn't go after it. And you're like, oh, you motherfucker. Like it's just it's the funniest dumb like in joke I've ever seen in a movie where he actively does not save the cat.
Yeah. And then, later on he's either driving to Chicago or back from Chicago where he's auditioning for this record deal. And his car, like literally in driving in a blizzard, kills a cat.
Yeah. It's insane. I also love the thing about that movie is it's like a deceptively confusing movie. Like it seems deceptively simple, but when you really think about the timeline of it, you're like, wait. Yeah,
it does a really weird thing with that kind of cold open or flashbacky type whatever thing it is. It's very small. Whenever we saw it in the theater together, both of us were like, what was that?
Like, what was the beginning?
Where did that circle to? Like, we were just both a bit lost for it being a pretty straightforward movie.
I think we were like, kind of when we were like let down, or at least I was when I first saw it, because the Coen Brothers are really mean-spirited people, and they seemed like they were doing this really beautiful ode to the folk music of the era, and I was like, that's not what I came for. And then I read an interview with them later. There's a great interview on the Criterion Channel with Guillermo del Toro where they're like, so the folk music of the era, and it's like, you don't have to parody that music. If you do it as honestly as it was at the time, it's immediately hilarious to us. I was like, okay.
And one of the bleakest reads of that movie that I read somewhere was just like, it was this idea that this is what they would be like if they didn't have each other,
Oh yeah, because it's about a partnership breaking.
It's about like a folk duo, and one of the guys from the duo dies. And
they're doing that now. I think they just wrapped. Joel made his first movie without Ethan, I think, right?
I don't know. I hadn't heard about this.
Okay, I'm gonna break news on this podcast so that it is not news.
Put it on the ticker down.
The ticker. Lady Macbeth. He's doing a version of Macbeth.
Breaking news.
Coen directs Macbeth solo with Frances McDormand as Lady Macbeth and Denzel Washington as Macbeth. Insane? Doesn't sound insane? Aren't you so curious about that?
I'm a big Shakespeare guy.
Wow. Okay. Well, I just thought that would be an interesting thing for everyone to be, but cool. Good number 3, Andrew.
Anyway,
this is probably riddled typos, but here you go. Oh, it didn't save.
Oh yeah, put breaking news.
I did, and it didn't save, and I don't want to.
Breaking news. Andrew, not a Shakespeare guy.
Breaking news. Shakespeare upset over perceived slight.
All right,
Yeah.
I know what your number 3 is, Adam.
Yes, but to keep things interesting, I can always put in one of the ones that didn't make the list.
Swapping up.
Does I'm thinking of ending things count?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Big time.
We were just talking. I was talking about this the other day. That's like one of the greatest underappreciated winter movies ever. It's like winter is like so
loved
villain.
that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
James and I were talking about when I called James when he's like, "Do you want to do this thing with me?" And we were just sort of spitballing about what it could possibly be, and it was the same thing. It's like, I'm thinking of ending things would be a great one for this. It's just such an interesting movie to talk about.
Yeah.
It was the most I've ever gotten into an actual argument with Kelly about a movie, which is like usually we agree on something or she's like, nah. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But this is the one where I was like, no, you're wrong. It was I really read the movie and I still do is like it's funny in a lot of places where she thought he was going for like pathos or whatever. And I don't know. Yeah, we still argue about it all the time. But the greatest thing ever is the realization. And not a lot of people who watch this movie notice this. I did not notice until I looked up the writing credits of the movie, and I was like, "What? Ron Howard got a what?" And it was that the last scene is just the line by line and shot by shot recreation of like the final scene of A Beautiful Mind. You know this?
Yeah.
The funniest. I wish so badly I'd watched Beautiful Mind recently because that would have been the funniest thing. Like the most
a movie I famously rewatched recently and forgot that there was a twist in it. So I was like all excited for this sort of Cold War espionage movie.
Yeah, you
was genuinely blindsided by the fact that this was all in his head. I was genuinely like taken aback. I couldn't believe it.
The reveal of I'm thinking of ending things is also so funny when you think back at the rest of the movie, the earlier parts of the movie. Like there's the scene where he's talking about how annoyed he is that Baby I'm Cold Outside isn't on the radio anymore. You're like, that's a weird scene. And then like later when you're like, oh, this is in the mind of an elderly janitor. And you're like, oh, that is exactly what that dude would be thinking. Song. I don't know why you would not.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think enough people saw it. I feel like even when it came out, it almost had like a stigma, like, oh, it's just a Netflix movie, but it's like, that's not a stigma anymore.
No, I know. Andrew and I were talking about this. It's too embarrassing. We have way too many. We just had one conversation that actually encompassed all of this somehow. Netflix, I was saying because MGM got sold earlier, and it was the last kind of like original film studio that still functioned as a film studio, like wasn't owned by bigger corporations. It was just owned by its huge, like the Metro Goldwyn, like MGM conglomerate. And then it was like the last thing that exists that's actually a film studio is Netflix, which is because all these film studios exist, but they're like owned by GE or Sony or whatever. And Netflix just like exists to make movies. It's like one of the last ones that does that. And I was like, so for that reason, we should be optimistic about Netflix. That was my big takeaway from my conversation.
Well, they do own a movie theater in New York now too, right? They bought up. I forget what it's called. They own a single theater.
In New
York City.
It's a bit bleak, but I would love it if Netflix. There was like Netflix theaters all around the world.
You're probably going to get your wish after all this shutdown. All the smaller guys are going to go out, and Netflix going to be like, "Well, there's infrastructure, and we have all the money in the world."
Oh, Draft has sold this week. Did you hear that, Adam?
No.
I was just sad. I don't know.
I wish we had one around us.
I know. I'd never. There's none really.
Well, I wish we had one around us, and it was open.
Yeah. It would have been closed by now. Sadly.
Yeah.
There was a window to see movies in the summer, and I didn't go.
Oh yeah, we had this conversation. Did you see Tenet in theaters, Adam? No, right?
No, I didn't, but I have a pretty good setup, so.
None of us did. It's so funny. I really like. I at the time was like, well, I'm not going to see that, and then way later I regretted it. It felt like the most zeitgeisty thing as a movie fan I could have ever done. It's like if you talk about movies in 2021, the one thing you're going to talk about is, or 2020, sorry, is Tenet. It's like the one movie that existed. It's weird.
Yeah, from what I heard in the theaters, it was really hard to make out a lot of the dialogue. So watching it at home, I was able to turn it up and then turn it back down for the action. So.
No, that's weird. It seemed like he was embarrassed about the dialogue in that movie, where it seemed like he was like when you like record yourself in like a song or something, and you're like, oh, my voice doesn't sound great here, and you like kind of like turn it down in the mix a bit. It just felt like he was just like, nah, dialogue's stupid anyway. Let's just like, it was just weird. Like I watched it at home, and the fact that we had this problem watching it at home, hilarious. Like everyone had it, and then everyone in theaters also had this problem.
Maybe he just doesn't care about dialogues. He's always putting masks over people's faces and having them do voices and muffling them. And
I know. Yeah, it's true. It's where other priorities of Christopher Nolan is something that I think about a lot. I'm like, what is the deal?
All right, you want to jump on to number 2?
My number 2, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Runaway Train. Have you seen it, Adam?
I haven't, man. You're making me feel like I haven't seen anything.
No. This movie's like the more obscure one on the list. But it's like, okay, I'll tell you who Andrew Konchalovsky is, who directed it. So he was Andrew Tarkovsky's collaborator. He co-wrote Ivan's Childhood, and Andrei Rublev was like the most like acclaimed like Janus film. Like just like people love these movies. Like critical top. Anyways, then he directed this like 4.5-hour movie, Cyber Aid, which is I watched at one point when I was in university because it was a library, but it's like it's like this epic Soviet movie from 1979. There's a period where I was watching all these Soviet movies because their budgets are just so huge because it's just like, the money is in Russia. Anyways, he was working all these studios, and then he went to America and he was like, I'm going to make Honest. And then he made this movie based on a screenplay by Akira Kurosawa. And it was fucking Runaway Train, which is just like a full-on hardcore action, like Speed, like Unstoppable with Denzel Washington and Speed mashed into one. Just like Eric Roberts on a train, John Voight, Rebecca De Mornay. Like this thing's off the rails, like full on.
They just escape out of a prison and then they're in a runaway train.
It's just like the most prestige going into this movie that everyone just like, we just want to fucking have this train go so fast. It's like the movie is so fun.
It was great.
It's just great. And then the fun fact about that director, who came from like this really prestigious world cinema background, he also went on to direct the worst movie of all time, Tango and Cash. Also the best movie of all time. Yeah, Runaway Train. I really want everyone to see that movie because I do feel like it's one of those movies that I've recommended like blindly, where I'm just like I don't have any like recommender remorse because I do think it's like such a crowd pleaser.
It's just a great 80s action movie.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's like I think I just love trains. I don't know why they don't make more train movies. Unstoppable is also one of my favorite movies like ever. It's just like why don't they just do off the rails train movies all the time? I don't know why.
Let a train go.
Yeah. It's so scary.
It is. Even though you know exactly where it's going.
And this one, the twist is it's also very cold. So,
it is winter. Yeah, that has to be.
Yeah.
It is like a lot of like the gates open. It's like, and they're like, no. And, like winter is a very dangerous element. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I love that movie. I just want everyone to see it.
I'll have to check it out. I got it pulled up here.
Is that your number 2?
That was my number 2.
Very cool.
Oh, thanks. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like a bumper it's like that's just a tick. Very cool. Very cool. No, I love that movie. I watched it during, in the last year, I was just renting movies all the time. And I just, for some reason, I don't even know how that movie came across my plate. But it was a Runaway Train movie from the 80s that was like a Golden Globus production. And I'm there for that.
I had the exact same instinct as you, by the way. They were playing it at the in the cinema in Cineplex in Canada. They have these like digital film festivals sometimes, which they just have like DCPs of old movies, and it's usually like The Matrix at Fight Club or whatever. Mm-hmm. And one of them was like Runaway Train, and I was like, "What's Runaway Train?" And I just went, and it was just like the best night of my life. Like, I just left like, oh,
the best 11 a.m. on a Sunday you could ever have.
It is. It's one of those movies that makes you feel like a kid, where you're like, "Oh, I'm on the train. Like, nothing's gonna stop this."
Yeah. Did I do my number 2?
Yeah.
It's Misery, Rob Reiner.
Nice.
Very
this
nice.
is what I withheld from my list for you.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie. For an unsexy movie, it's incredibly horny. I'll say that about it. It's like the love she feels is so deep. And more Stephen King on my list, I guess. Stephen King does love winter. I was
trying to think, what other winter movies does he have?
As a device. I mean, Dreamcatcher and The Shining and Misery are pretty good 3.
Shining, I forgot. Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. But famously, The Shining is not a winter movie.
Okay. It's not entirely a winter movie.
Yeah. Well, that would have made all of our lists. We can talk about it after.
We love The Shining. It's easy.
In the sun. And we need to debate whether Eyes Wide Shut is a winter movie or not, too.
I know, I kept it off my list. I did. There's no snow.
Misery is great. The slow realization, like just how patient it is with James Caan sort of realizing what's up is such a good, because you know exactly what's going on from the hop, but watching him sort of slowly figure it out is very uncomfortable, and then obviously things escalate really suddenly.
Yeah, and
But
Kathy Bates just teetering the whole time, like anything could set her off.
Yeah, terrifying. And then I just love this idea of Stephen King sort of writing about himself, but making him sort of a hack romance writer. I find that really funny.
Yeah, it's so weird. What's Stephen King's deal? He's like the weirdest guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
With that shit specifically, his relationship with his fans is so strange.
Yeah, I mean, I love Stephen King, but he's like, I mean, when you write that many books, they're not all going to be A+ efforts. There's just no way.
But they're just going to keep coming out. That's all it is. My favorite directors are people who make a movie every year. Same with author, everything, musicians.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah. I also will say there's like a weird cathartic thing about watching James Caan as an older man getting tortured by Kathy Bates, because it's like he is like the Playboy Mansion sex symbol, like 70s guy, you know, like hairy chest, like and then just watching him be like no for like a full movie. It's like incredible.
Yeah. Two things I want to mention about that movie is, number one, Rob Reiner going Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery is insane.
Yeah, one of the greatest runs Rob Reiner had in that era.
And what a hard pivot into Misery. It's wild. And also just Richard Farnsworth as that detective is like, as Buster, it's like the proto Fargo kind of thing where he and his wife are so sweet and cute as police officers in this movie, where you want them to succeed so badly.
Like, Rob Reiner's insane. I just looked up his filmography. The ones that you're missing on the edges are, it's like, you said Stand By Me, right?
No, I started with Princess Bride.
Okay, so check it out. Stand By Me, Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. This is like in less than a decade.
Yeah.
Stand By Me is also Stephen King.
Yeah.
And then he made North, which is like such a huge flop, which I've never seen, so I don't know. Could be great.
Sounds like a winter movie.
Yeah.
Not for the whole thing, so it's not. I'm so excited that you picked it. I watched a movie from the 70s a couple years back. I think Straight Time. So good. But the whole thing was like Kathy Bates was in it. And I was like, oh, I've never seen Kathy Bates young. Like, I wonder what she looks like. And you know what it was? Exactly the same. It's crazy. It's crazy. She looks the same now almost as she did in Misery.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Just a hot take. I thought everyone.
A hot take. Kathy Bates doesn't age.
And, I will say, Kathy Bates in Misery, one of my greatest Halloween costumes I've ever had.
I did not. That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know if I even have a photo to show you, but there might be.
You know, it's better if you don't. I have a few of those that I'm like, I wish I had one picture.
You ever want to make an easy sledgehammer? Handle of a mop, piece of paper towel on top, and just wrap it in black tape.
This is Halloween tips coming from us to you.
In early March.
Just get ready. What else you got to do?
I work in props. It's, I think, weird stuff.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Adam. Number 2.
All right, my number 2 is The Thing.
Yes. Another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong. I figured that was going to be one that everyone has. I feel like my list isn't all that inventive, but
that movie will be appearing on my list at some point.
I didn't even know about the original score until I watched Hateful Eight, and then I looked it up that Ennio Morricone did a score for The Thing, and he just didn't use it. He was like, nah, and then just played synth. So cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either, but The Thing is great. Great filler. Anything with Kurt Russell. Well, maybe not anything, but most things with Kurt Russell are worth watching.
What thing isn't? I guess the Santa ones? I
didn't watch those. That's what I was thinking of.
I'm happy they exist. I see a picture of him, especially with Goldie Hawn. I'm like, nice, they're both doing something.
Yeah, I'm happy he's getting a paycheck. I'm happy there's Christmas movies for people who like Christmas movies, but I don't need to see it. I'll watch The Thing again.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
The Thing is number 1 on my list, so I'll just chime in on it now because I've only got one movie left, and it's that one.
Do it.
So many things. Kurt Russell's hat.
His hat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his hat's amazing. Sorry.
His hat is huge.
Did you have a fun theory about the end of that movie?
What?
There is like a mystery where it's like, because it's like, are either of them the thing at the end, right?
Right.
They're both
I think neither of them are the thing.
Okay.
But they're both going to be dead anyway.
Here's my question. Have either of you seen, I've not watched this, but it's your number one movies. Have either of you seen the Thing prequel / remake?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? I think it was such a good idea to make that movie based on because it's the ship that they go, where the dog is running from.
The Norwegian.
Yeah.
It's pretty well made. I mean, I only saw it the one time. It's pretty well made for what it is. It's hard to do anything that touches such an iconic movie like that. And the biggest problem is exactly where it ends because it can't end any other way because you've seen the thing.
Right.
It's true. I was just thinking that it's so funny because I feel like you could say the same about Titanic, but still, I feel like if a movie is sprawling and big enough, but halfway through you forget a ship's gonna sink, you're like, wow, class does not separate true love in any place, and then you're like, oh wait, this is the Titanic, but the thing, I would hope
the Titanic also had survivors though.
Yeah, true, of course.
Yes.
When you do a prequel to a movie where no one makes it out, or a couple people do, but
they make it out, but then they sort of blow each other up at the end. Well, the one
none of the cast in the first one is in the thing, so that don't get attached to these people.
Yeah,
the dog though, you got to get attached to that dog. Is the dog in the prequel? Is he a character?
Yeah, the dog shows up a lot.
Great dog acting in the thing. The way that dog's slowly walking around the set of that movie is genuinely sort of creepy, and it feels like a dog that doesn't know how to be a dog in a real way.
Do you think
that's weird?
Do you think at the beginning they just shot explode? How did they get that? It starts with that remarkable shot, right, where the dog's running and he's avoiding explosives or something. Am I making this up?
No, they're trying. Aren't they trying to shoot it?
Yeah, they're trying to shoot it, but they're genuinely flying a helicopter across this way while the dog is running that way. So they're doing some helicopter choreography with a dog.
John Carpenter.
And the prequel ends with that dog running out into the snow. So it's it bumps right up to it.
It's like a direct prequel. Yeah, no, it's amazing. Wilford Brimley in that movie is so good as the guy who right away is world's over. We gotta destroy this fucking base right now. And everyone's like, whoa, you're nuts, man. Take it easy. But he's 100% right immediately.
What came out first? Alien came out first, probably, right?
Yeah, by some years, yeah. Thing was in the early 80s.
Because they both have the Thing, no pun intended, that is amazing, which is just the most extreme violence, almost out of the blue after maybe about 45 minutes of tension.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just Jesus Christ! I guess this is the movie.
Well, you're just there's some tension going on. The Norwegian thing was weird. They blew up their own helicopter when the grenade slipped out of his hand. An exciting day at the base. But it's everything's sort of settled down and we're going into the night. It's everyone's trying to relax. Forget about that stuff. And then the dog just goes haywire in the kennel.
That's the coolest thing.
And that's Stan Winston they brought in, I know, to do that sort of snaky business in the kennel. It's when you first see the alien.
I'm not to drag Kelly like I've been doing the second time. But no, the coolest thing to me about her is that she does not like The Thing, and I love that movie, and I think it's impossible for anyone to not like that movie. And she's just ugh, and I think it's she's just this bunch of middle-aged men in a fucking who cares? She's so bored. And I'm just no, you don't understand. It's about it's bigger than that. It's the world, it's aliens. And it's I took her to a remastered screening of it at one point. And I was just there's no way you're gonna escape this. You're gonna love this movie. And I remember during it, I was leaning forward in my seat. And I looked over, and it was just theater full of people just also leaning over this. And I looked over to Kelly, and she was just so bored, rolling her eyes. And I was how? It was just to me an amazing thing. It's when people walk away from explosions without looking at them or something.
Nothing's gonna make someone like a movie more than being dragged to it against their will. You set yourself up for failure on that one.
Just trust me. I think you've not liked this before, but maybe
what you had to do was have it ready in your Blu-ray player, and then you hear her coming in, and you're 3 minutes in, you're oh, I didn't know you're gonna be home already. Might as well sit down.
Oh, weird. So random. I wish I could stop it, but
yeah, I'm already into it. So,
what's it called again? I don't even know this one. Oh, you like the Russell? Yeah, I really wish. Great ending. One of the best endings.
Something.
Our list, other than my top one, I would say The Thing is the best ending out of any of the movies on our list.
I won't disagree.
number one is.
Yeah, do you want to do your one? Because that was my number 2. So
Yeah,
my number one, and Andrew got his number 1 with The Thing. I think I might share the same number 1 as you, Adam. This might be a really tidy top 2. But my number 1 is Polar Express. I'm just kidding. It's Fargo.
Yep.
Yeah. Fargo. It's like the greatest movie. It's if I'm being honest, maybe my favorite movie of all time, and maybe the movie I've watched the most. I've maybe seen that movie once a year. I think like it's just like to me, just like smooth, just like a smooth breeze, like just waves of because it's like so funny, and it's just like the older I get, the more I laugh at different things. Like it took me like maybe 5 years to find the score funny, and now it's like to me the funniest thing about that movie, where it's just like so intense, and it like lands on the lamest bar, and they're like, hey, just like it's just the. I love that movie, and that the ending of that movie has made me cry numerous times out of just the pure joy of love, where they're like, all this horrible shit has happened, and the killer from Zodiac, the Zodiac killer himself, and Frances McDormand are sitting in bed. I forget the actor's name, but he's from the Drew Carey show as well. But he's like sitting in bed with her, and he's like, "Whoa, well, he's like, talks about the stamp, and she's like, I think we're doing all right."
Is that the Zodiac killer?
In Zodiac killer with the watch.
Yeah.
I know it's one of those casting things where now I'll just always be like, that guy fucking did it. He's a Zodiac killer.
He's the Zodiac.
It's the same with the guy who played in the David Fincher TV series Manhunter. The guy who played, oh my God, who's the really famous? Did you watch that show?
Yeah, that was great.
The guy, the most famous. They talk about him way too many times in the show. I love him.
The guy with the mustache we talk to all the time.
Yeah. The first interview, the big famous serial killer. But that actor, I see him in things, and I'm always just like, like I just think of him as that serial killer now. Same with the guy at the end
of a job.
True Detective, the same thing. Cast that guy in the last couple episodes, and every time I see that guy in movies, I'm like, he has this house and he's torturing people. Yeah, Fargo, great movie. Everyone should watch it. Everyone's seen that movie.
Yeah. Everyone watch Fargo because you haven't.
There's so many things I watch about that movie, and it's like I always forget. Like I've seen that movie so many times, and I still forget that. I think it's Stan Yanakita or whatever, her like friend from high school, when he's just like, "Oh, let's go over to lunch." And he's like,
that's super awkward. Yeah.
I always forget he exists every single time. And then he shows up and I'm like, oh my God. And it's a really creepy thing where he kind of disappears. And then later she's on the phone with her friend. She's like, oh, his wife left him. He's like a really sad guy. And you're like, oh. And then he just never address it. It's gone from the movie.
I might remember this wrong, but isn't that, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Frances McDormand's first movie. And if I remember right, she didn't even really want to get into acting. It just kind of fell into her lap.
I think her first movie is Blood Simple, which is another.
Oh, okay, yeah,
the greatest movie ever. But I think that movie was the thing where they were just like, just try it. She's so good. I mean, the thing is, she's like the best in Fargo ever, and a lot of people think of her as like a tough, because she's played a lot of like tough, no nonsense middle-aged women at this point. In that movie, she's just so warm. It's like you think about her in that movie, she's like the sweetest person. She's smarter than everyone, but she never is condescending.
She's pregnant the whole time too.
Yeah, so pregnant. I mean, there's that moment where the guy is like, whoa, I don't know what that can mean. He's like, DLR plates. It could be he's from Delaware. And they're like, oh, I'm thinking those might be dealer plates. And he's like, oh. It's like she knows, but she's not being an asshole about it.
Yeah. Kind of an off topic, but have you watched any of the Fargo series?
Yeah, I love it. I've been saving the newest season. That's also, by the way, the greatest show of expectations, where I was just like, watched it like ready to hate it. Like I was like,
me too. I was like, why are they doing this? They've already nailed it. Don't do that. And it's so good in its own right.
Another movie that didn't make it on my list, that was actually number 6, is A Simple Plan, which is the Sam Raimi movie, which is basically a Coen Brothers movie that Sam Raimi made. And Sam Raimi was like really good friends with the Coen Brothers when they were younger. They made all these movies together. But
I'm pretty sure one of the Coen was an editor on. Didn't one of the Coen Brothers edit on Evil Dead?
I think so, yeah.
It was an editor for one of the Evil Dead movies. Yeah.
Sam Raimi also wrote The Hudsucker Proxy with them, which is like the weirdest thing ever. And also, they wrote this movie together.
It's a friendship island.
No, yeah, I know. I love this friendship. Oh, also, weirdest fact about their friendship is I think Ethan Coen and Sam Raimi co-wrote Spies Like Us, another winter movie, which is that like weird movie with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd that's kind of bad. Crazy. I thought that was. I see you looking on the internet as I'm talking at right now, Andrew, and I assume you are looking up the Coen Brothers and Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I'm trying to find another. I'm trying to find a movie to replace my number one.
Oh, I was going to ask if you wanted to do one on the fly.
Yeah, and I found one. Prisoners, good movie.
Oh yes, I forgot about that being a winter movie. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, you know what though? I'm gonna nix your. I know we promised we wouldn't do this. Not fully a winter movie.
Yeah. Well, it's cold though.
It is cold. I watched that movie recently, and that was my.
Your big takeaway was not full winter.
No, my big takeaway was I forgot how much that movie is dedicated to Hugh Jackman torturing Paul Dano. It's like, oh Jesus Christ! Like the first hour of this movie is him just like turning on hot water and being like, "Where's my daughter?" And you're like, "Geez, like just please."
Yeah,
I love that movie.
Yeah, and Gyllenhaal's there just kind of having weird facial tics.
This is maybe the beginning of the Gyllenhaal or whatever you would call it, the like reinvention of Jake Gyllenhaal, where everyone's just like, "He's great." He's like 6 weeks in a row.
Was that before Nightcrawler?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, because there's Nightcrawler, Enemy, and Prisoners,
and then Southpaw.
And then Southpaw I've never seen. Should I watch that movie?
I think so.
There you go. That's all. Kelly and I've been trying to watch boxing movies. We watched like both Creeds.
Oh, then definitely watch Southpaw if you're doing boxing movies.
I know, we watched The Fighter, and they're just the greatest feeling movies ever. It's like so easy for drama. Like by the end, all of the inner relationships are just there's just like a ring where people are punching each other. Amazing. Yeah.
Boxing movies are good. Very good.
Well, that's what actually you were saying. Not to maybe you don't want this is live. This is live on the internet right now.
It's not live. I mean, StreamYard's meant to be live, so it probably just default. It just says live, but I'm just recording it. We probably could have done it live.
No, I was gonna say like, oh, you were saying you were gonna watch UFC tomorrow night, and I didn't know if that was like a secret that you didn't want the world to know your schedule or whatever.
Oh no, I don't care.
The reason I brought that up is I've never really watched UFC, but someone was telling me that in the last couple of years they do the greatest thing of like the almost like documentary reality stuff, like building up to the fights where they the fighters, they show them training and their family and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect gateway drug for someone like me.
They'll do like 5-6 minute promos where they're talking about it. They're showing them with their kids and their training and then like their highlight reel. And
I know it's so funny because I would love to watch like UFC fights, but I know that my first thing is just like, well, what's his relationship with his wife though? I just want to know who the fighter's deals, and then I'm down. Like I love fighting, but I don't know them. It's like anonymous bodies. But it's hard.
It takes a while to get into it, and it's a fast-moving sport. Like I found in the little bit of time I've been following it because my wife got me into it. It's like, oh, I really like this guy. I'm going to track this guy, and then like he's gone for a year, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then someone new comes in, like they'll just get their UFC contract, and in 3 months they're fighting on a main card. And you're like, oh, this is fast.
That's so I don't know. I would love. This is the thing I miss. I wish I could. I need to know how to get. I'm just rambling. I don't know. Just teach me about UFC one day.
Do you guys have any thoughts or feelings about Fight Island?
Fight Island? Oh, I think as a title, it's amazing.
I think it's a genius idea just because they kept giving the UFC a hard time during the whole quarantine. Like, you can't have people in here. And he's like, you say it's not groups of 6. It's one guy, and they're both tested. Like, let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Also, just like Fight Island, the perfect premise for like the third Escape from New York movie.
It's Mortal Kombat. It's Enter the Dragon.
Fight Island.
This is a good time. Your number one was Fargo. Okay, we did it. You guys.
Yeah. My number one was Fargo. I had a few honorable mentions that I didn't put on, but I had The Revenant.
Oh, Revenant is like the greatest winter movie ever because like Fargo does this as well, but the thing of like you feeling very cold for the person the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just like
one thing that really gets me there, and it's not a movie, but the episode of Band of Brothers where they're in Bastion in the woods in the foxholes.
Never seen Band of Brothers.
Oh, you guys got to watch Band of Brothers.
That reminds me of the episode of The Sopranos with the Russian.
Also, the episode of The Sopranos where they're in the there's that whole episode that's like a bottle episode. I think maybe Steve Buscemi directed, but they're in the woods with Adriana or something.
That's what you're talking about? Yeah, it's Pine Barrens. It's called. They're trying to get rid of the body, but the guy's not dead, and then it's a weird sort of like abstract manhunt. Going crazy
and like turning on each other because they're both freezing and starving.
A lot of great winter moments in The Sopranos.
Yeah,
Their moment when the one season where he sees the CIA or whatever, the agents coming out, and he like throws his gun in the snow and it's like whew, disappears and he runs away. Amazing.
Yeah, great television, The Sopranos.
God, The Revenant. You know, this is such a nitpicky thing, but The Revenant is like my favorite movie ever. I just like hate the voiceover. I know it's so stupid. Like, who cares, James? But I just like I don't like his like introspective stuff about his son, even though I know it's like essential to the movie. But I already feel so bad for his son. You like watch him die, then just like I like love watching his like survival, like the what's the word, like the instructional what's the word I'm looking for, just like the
how he survives, like his aptitude. And
I love movies like that, like I'm trying to think
like Into the Wild,
procedural style, like
Winter's Bone, like you like the squirrel stuff. The same
yeah,
sort of.
I love it.
There you go.
I like that he sparks his neck. You see he has an open bear wound on his neck, and you're like, I don't know, that dude's gonna live with that wound, and you see him burn it shut. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I also like that Leonardo DiCaprio, as big as he is, and he's kind of one of like, I think the age of the movie star is kind of past, and there's a few hangovers like Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's still willing to do this like insane, uncomfortable stuff. Just really put himself out there.
He has the great movie star thing where you just don't know what he's like as a real person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who this guy is, but you know, like everyone else, because new movie stars are different, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I'm always just like Tom Cruise is one of those people where I'm just like, what's Tom Cruise thinking? I don't know. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like a total cipher.
He doesn't live on our planet, so it's.
He will be filming a movie on another planet.
Yeah, that's true. What else?
He'd go to Mars for a movie for sure.
What's that?
He'd go to Mars for a movie, Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if he's going to be the first one.
Yeah,
that's true.
Another one I had, which is also Alaska-based, oddly enough, is Insomnia.
Oh, I've never seen that movie. I've always wanted to see it.
Really good. I love Robin Williams, and I love that he could do creepy just as well as comedy.
He had the year. That was the same year he did
1 Hour Photo.
1 Hour Photo and Death to Smoochie. He played psychos in these three movies. Great.
Yeah.
I love, rest in peace, love Robin Williams when he plays psychos or sad men.
Yeah. That's actually all my honorable mentions because a lot of them were overlaps with your list, so that's good.
One that we didn't say was, this is like not even an honorable mention. I just like love to bring this movie up because I do like it. The Ice Harvest, the like late Harold Ramis movie with John Cusack and Billy Bob Thornton.
Okay, I saw that.
Ravenous, I don't know how much that's a winter movie, but I remember being so cold. I love that movie. And Storm Fear, a movie that almost made my list, which is like a 50s film noir movie that's like in the winter, and it's like the only film noir winter movie that, to my knowledge, exists from like the classic era, where just like a full like guns, but they like have like snowsuits on, and they're like trudging through the snow. It's surreal. It's so funny. And Alive, that was my last one. Alive, the like Andy's the one the soccer players who eat each other when they
the plane crash. Yeah.
I love that movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I got to see that. It sounds very much up my alley.
It's a weird movie. It's directed by Frank Marshall, who does not have a huge director career, as like he's like the most famous producer ever. But he directed like that movie, Congo, Arachnophobia, and 8 Below. I think that like Paul Walker Alaska movie. It's a weird career, and then he produced obviously like every like Indiana Jones movie and all these things.
Nice.
Weird. And Back to the Future and Jurassic Park and all that shit.
He does pop up a lot in that You Must Remember This series about Peter Bogdanovich and Polly Platt.
Yeah, because he was around. Well, he is one of the key people who got the Orson Welles movies to come out on Netflix because he was there with Peter Bogdanovich.
Yeah, and he was like part of that early Corman crew who were just running around doing whatever. Yeah.
That's such a cool crew.
Yeah.
Great list, you guys.
Yeah, really nice. I don't know that I had any honorable mentions. I didn't think I had like an hour today that I squeezed in. I made my list.
I just tried to think of winter movies that I liked, and I just wrote them down in no order at all. And then I was, is this one better than that one? Does this one utilize winter better than this other one?
Yeah,
I just knew that Fargo was number one. That was the only one I was for sure.
I knew The Thing and Misery right away, and then the rest kind of were just like, let's find them, pick them out.
Misery is like a great movie. I love the movie so much. I don't think Kelly's watched it either. I'm excited to to inflict it on her. But
I watched The Princess Bride for the first time because I was just thinking, like, let's see what all the fuss is about. Well, check this movie out. It's great. It's so good.
It is, yeah.
It's really sweet and funny, and they all win you over so handily by the end. You just love all those characters. It's really a classic. I get it.
I was talking to a friend recently. I acted in a friend's movie this summer. There's one scene I'm like, I get in bed with his parents. It sounds a bit saucy, but it's more sad. But I like looked at the footage of it and I was just like, man, you need to choose a different angle because it's like the proportions are distracting because I'm just like such a big person that it looked like Wallace Shawn and Andre the Giant like beside each other. Please.
Can you plug that movie?
Can I what?
Can you plug that movie that you're in?
No, it's not out yet, and I don't even know if it's good. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's just a funny thing of like a friend made a movie and I'm in it, and it's like he asked me for notes, and it's just like I can't touch this movie, so it's like either like just like let me edit the whole thing, please. But it's called Waste Island.
Waste End?
Waste Island.
Waste Island. Okay.
I don't know when it's coming out, but I watched it. I watched a rough cut of it, and I would say I am like a young Philip Seymour Hoffman on the screen. Just a pathos of a great actor and on the rise. I don't know. It was very hard to watch yourself in the movie. Not a fun experience. I read that Joaquin Phoenix never watched one of his movies fully. And I was like, what an asshole. And then I got that experience and I was like, I understand.
I can see that because you might get in your own head or...
Yeah, no, it just...
I mean, even just doing these kind of things, like this one I'm not really going to edit. It's just us having a free-form conversation, but when I do ones that I have to edit, I hate listening to myself playing back.
Yeah, no one likes their own voice.
No.
Yeah.
The best is that, like, Kelly, like, wrote this movie with me that she's, like, in, like, 80% of it. And I had, like, to defer. I like, so many questions I had about editing with her where she was just like, I can't, no. Just, like, cut out my character. I don't know. Like she's
it's like cut out my character. We only have 4 minutes of footage.
You know what's a good ticker for this, you guys? Is my battery is dying, and I did not bring my charger into this room.
Oh, okay. Well, we're over an hour, and I'm hungry.
Yeah, what are you guys gonna do tonight? Kelly and I are gonna play a drinking game to Adam Sandler's Jack and Chill. That's our Friday night.
You are punishing yourself.
We're in Montreal. There is a quarantine.
There's so many good things to watch.
I know. Well, you know what it is because we've been trying to find a way to like party, and there's no real way. And the only way is that we ever like successfully done it is through drinking games. So we watched like all those like Bad Moms movies with Mila Kunis, and then like a lot of like just movies like that have drinking games online, and it's like the funnest. It's the only way we've been able to be like, yeah, because we just like haven't seen anyone else, and we can't watch movies with people. So
makes sense.
And I've seen it already. That's the cruel thing.
Oh man,
I'm the only one I know who's watched that movie.
I won't do it.
I don't think we didn't watch that in the old movie club.
No. I would have loved to because that movie has the most incredible Al Pacino cameo I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, Adam, James, and I, and a bunch of our friends were in. This was like 6 to 8 years ago. Is that fair-ish timeline? We had a movie club where we would get together and just watch the worst movies we could find.
It was great.
And it was so much fun.
You want to know what I think the worst one? The one that I was the most, not the worst movie, but the one that I was the most like, I can't watch this, like throw something at the screen, was Theodore Rex.
What, the RX?
No, Theodore Rex with Whoopi Goldberg and the dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez. I remember the poster of that, and that's enough for me. Yeah, exactly. Like the worst CG dinosaur.
Yeah.
No, I think he's like even just in a costume. I think it's like Barney style.
Oh, you're probably right for the timeline. My mind is probably updating it to something. Yeah, you're right. It's like from the sitcom Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Which that movie I do love, or that sitcom I love.
I feel like last time I visited, or maybe the time before, we had a little movie club style get together, and we watched what was that Tom Hanks movie? That's so weird.
Oh God, Larry Crown.
Larry Crown. That's a good group drinking get together movie because by the time you get to the credits and you're feeling a little silly, it's a really fun time.
Credits are the best part of that movie.
Credits are the best part, but it's where you gotta earn your way to them. They're so good.
Fanatic was the one we watched before or after.
Oh, yeah, the Travolta.
Did you see that movie, Adam, with Travolta and Devon Sawa?
I saw clips. And that was funny. I saw his meltdown where he's doing the really bad job threatening the person.
This was our takeaway was like, I think John Travolta's probably good in this movie, but there's no way to tell. Like, you'll never know.
The movie's you can't, but I think he is. I think that he is good in it.
I know, because you feel so genuinely uncomfortable for him the whole time. And I remember we were watching it. We all got, not all of us, but some of us got pretty stoned. It's legal in Canada, so it's cool. Yeah. And our friend Miles was like 10 minutes in the movie was like, "Oh, is there a way to unsmoke weed?" It was like the worst decision we all made, where we were just like the movie was like so horrible feeling.
Yeah, a bizarre movie.
Fred Durst's second movie, sophomore effort.
Watching movies like that is very fun. It's really fun
as a group.
Yeah. Right, like I'm not gonna turn around and go watch Reindeer Games by myself tonight.
Right.
What's so bad about that movie? I've never seen it. I know it's supposed to be like the worst.
It's not that bad.
All right, cool.
It's not that bad. That was one that I was watching. The movie club started because I feel like I was watching these bad movies by myself. And
I joined and I thought it was a good movie. It was Monkey Shines.
Monkey Shines was pretty good. It's a
George A. It's crazy.
George A. Romero movie, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's there's a paraplegic or quadriplegic sex scene in that movie, but also,
all right,
like through some sort of magic of blood transfusion, this paraplegic man gets sort of imbued with the memories and vision of a monkey.
He's like a psychic connection to a monkey.
Yeah. It's quite a ride.
Like monkey camp.
Okay. How does that even like come into your head? Like, you know what we should do?
I know George A. Romero is like, I love the thing of like anything other than zombies. You're like, okay, if you want.
Yeah, Monkey Shines, and I guess it is just like The Shining, but with a monkey.
Yeah, it's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I just made that connection right now.
Well, thank you for doing this with us, Adam.
Yeah, that was fun. We have to find a time and a list for the next one.
I know, I'm down. Whoever wants to pick it, I can't pick the next one.
All right, I got a couple ideas. We'll get back in the email chain.
Nice. I don't know why I raised my eyebrow. Like, this is good.
We have something cooking.
No, I love
it. Al Pacino cameos in Adam Sandler comedies.
I mean, there's only one, and it's the best one. Have you seen that clip? Either of you?
It was in the trailers, wasn't it?
There's like a full. You can watch it. There's a full in there. He does a full Dunkin' Donuts ad, and he does like a full like rap, and it's like Dunkin' Donuts versions of all of his classic lines.
Oh man,
he's like delicious brew. I know it was you. Like just like full, like opens his jacket and has like donuts in the lining.
When I watch old Al Pacino movies, I'm like, that's right. He's really good. He's not just a parody of himself.
I think that there must have been a window there in the 2000s where he went into some serious debt.
You think? Yeah,
it has to be.
I think that's the only thing that makes sense because it's one window where he was doing just anything.
Because the guy who made Serpico also has a cameo in Jack and Jill.
No, this is my theory with Adam Sandler movies. I bet they're the funnest to film because everyone agrees to do them, and that's why you get someone like Jack Nicholson who like says no to everything and is also so rich, just being like, I'll star in a movie with you.
It's got to be, yeah. When he got his Netflix deal for some obscene amount of money, and it's like, I wish I could get paid that for hanging out with my friends. It's like, yeah, it's exactly what he's doing.
He always gets Steve Buscemi. Like it's always, I don't know. It's
got his crew.
For years, it was like Steve Buscemi was always in Coen Brothers movies and Adam Sandler movies. I was like, what a great.
He's really funny. He doesn't get enough credit for being funny.
I just recently watched Mr. Deeds, and it was great.
Crazy Eyes.
I really enjoyed Mr. Deeds. Very fun movie.
Eats the pizza.
It's pretty good. It's got a really good heart to it. Mr. Deeds is, you really like Longfellow Deeds.
Mr. Deeds is a Ted Lasso plot where it's just like this guy goes from strength to strength by just being a swell guy.
Yeah. It is very similar actually to Ted Lasso.
Yeah. And John Turturro is hilarious, and we'll just this is the Mr. Deeds conversation now. All right,
cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
All
right. Wish me luck on Jack and Jill, everybody.
Yeah. Better you than me. Take it easy.